After my friend left, I went into the kitchen and told my wife, "Sit back, we need to talk." The words came out heavier than I had intended, but I couldn't help myself. Something in me had been boiling all evening, and though I had tried to hide it while my friend sat in our living room, laughter filling the air, my thoughts had been circling one thing only. My wife, Sarah, looked up from the sink where she was rinsing the last of the dinner plates. The sound of running water made a hollow hiss as it slid down the drain. She turned off the tap, dried her hands on a towel, and slowly pulled out a chair at the kitchen table. Her face was calm, but her eyes searched mine. "What's wrong?" she asked. I sat across from her, elbows on the wooden table we'd shared for years, the place where we'd eaten breakfast together every morning, sometimes quietly, sometimes in laughter, sometimes in arguments we'd later regret. Tonight, however, the air between us was heavier than any past quarrel. "You know what's wrong," I said. Her lips pressed together, but she didn't answer. For weeks now, I had noticed something odd. It started with her phone. She had always been protective of it, like anyone, but recently she kept it face down on the counter, or stuffed quickly into her pocket when I walked into the room. Notifications were silenced. She typed messages with her back turned to me. Then came the name. Dr. L. The first time I saw it was on a Sunday morning when I borrowed her phone to check the weather. A text notification lit up the screen. "Dr. L. Can't stop thinking about last night. Call me when you can." I remember the way my heart had dropped, the way my palms had gone cold. I didn't confront her then. I told myself it could mean anything. Maybe it was a female doctor friend of hers. Maybe I was reading into the words too much. But then I began to notice how often she smiled at her phone, how quickly she brushed off my questions with vague answers. And tonight, after my friend David left, after we'd shared drinks and stories and tried to pretend life was ordinary, I couldn't hold it in anymore. Sarah looked at me steadily, though I could see the faint tremor in her hand as she adjusted the chair. "You've been quiet all night," she said. "Even David noticed. What is this about?" I leaned forward. "Who is Dr. L.?" The name hit the air like a stone breaking glass. Her face froze. For a moment she said nothing, and the silence between us deepened until I could hear the faint ticking of the wall clock. Finally, she spoke, her voice soft. "Where did you hear that?" "Don't play games," I snapped. "I saw the messages. I've seen them more than once." Her shoulders sank, and she looked down at the table as if gathering strength. "You weren't supposed to see those," she murmured. Something inside me twisted. "So, it's true. You've been hiding something from me." I wanted her to deny it. I wanted her to laugh and say I had misunderstood, that it was her doctor, or a harmless inside joke with a friend. But she didn't. Instead, she folded her hands in front of her, her wedding ring glinting under the kitchen light, and whispered, "Yes, I've been hiding something." The ground beneath me seemed to shift. I stared at her, unable to find words. "Why?" I finally asked. She looked up, and her eyes were shining with tears. "Because I didn't know how to tell you." "Tell me what?" My voice cracked, the anger slipping into fear. Sarah took a long breath. "Dr. L. isn't who you think." I swallowed hard. "Then who is he?" She hesitated. "He's my therapist." I blinked. That was not what I had expected. My mind scrambled to make sense of it. "Your therapist?" "Yes." Her voice shook now. "I've been seeing him for months. I didn't tell you because I didn't want you to think I was weak, that I couldn't handle things on my own." The words hung in the air, heavy but strangely fragile. I sat back, confusion mixing with the hurt. "Why would you think I'd judge you for that?" Her tears slipped free now. "Because you've always been so strong, so steady. And me, I've been falling apart inside, and I didn't want you to see it." The anger that had been burning in me all night began to soften, replaced by something more complex. Pain, yes, but also guilt. How had I missed this? How had I not seen what she was going through? "But the messages," I said, my voice low. "The way they sounded, they didn't look like things you'd send to a therapist." Sarah covered her face with her hands. "I know. It looks bad. I've crossed lines I shouldn't have. He made me feel understood in ways I hadn't felt in years. At first, it was just about my anxiety, my panic attacks. But then, I started leaning on him more than I should have." My stomach tightened. "Are you telling me it's more than therapy?" Her silence was louder than words. I stood abruptly, pacing the kitchen. The floor creaked under my steps. "So that's it. You've been, what? Having an affair?" "No," she cried, standing too. Not like that. Not physical. I swear, not once. But, emotionally, yes. I was wrong. I let myself get too close. I told him things I should have told you. I found comfort where I shouldn't have. And I hate myself for it. Her words cut deep. Part of me wanted to shout, to slam my fist against the wall, to demand how she could betray me like that. But another part, the part that still loved her fiercely, just stood there, wounded and lost. "Why didn't you come to me?" I asked, my voice breaking. She stepped closer, tears streaking her face. "Because I didn't know how. Every time I looked at you, I saw the man I wanted to lean on, but I also saw the man I didn't want to disappoint. So I turned to him instead. And it was a mistake. A terrible mistake." We stood there, the distance between us both small and infinite. For years, Sarah had been my partner in everything. My laughter, my struggles, my dreams. And now, hearing her confess this emotional betrayal, I felt like I was looking at a stranger. Yet at the same time, I saw the woman I had married, trembling and broken before me, desperate for forgiveness. I sank back into my chair, burying my face in my hands. "I don't know if I can forgive this," I whispered. She knelt beside me, placing her hand over mine. "I'm not asking you to forgive me tonight. I'm asking you to see me, to see how lost I've been, and maybe, to help me find my way back." Her words tore at me. I wanted to push her away, but my heart betrayed me, aching with love and hurt all at once. The kitchen was silent except for her quiet sobs. I lifted my head, studying her face, the face I had loved for so many years. Finally, I spoke. "If we're going to survive this, everything has to change. No more secrets. No more hiding." She nodded desperately. "I'll do whatever it takes. I'll stop seeing him. I'll find a new therapist. Or we can go together. Just, don't give up on us." I looked into her tear-filled eyes and felt the war inside me rage on. Part of me wanted to walk away, to leave the hurt behind. But another part, the deeper part, couldn't imagine life without her. And so I said the only thing I could in that moment. "This isn't the end. But it's not forgiveness yet, either. It's the beginning of something new, if we can rebuild it." Her hand tightened on mine, and for the first time in weeks, maybe months, I saw a flicker of hope in her eyes. That night, as the house settled into silence and the moonlight stretched across our kitchen floor, we sat together in the stillness, not as a husband and wife untouched by betrayal, but as two wounded souls who had to decide whether love was stronger than the mistakes between them. And in that fragile moment, I realized something. Love isn't tested when life is easy. It's tested in the kitchen, after your friend leaves, when your wife sits across from you with tears in her eyes, and you both must choose, fight for each other or let go. We chose to fight.